Now that you've had a little tour, I want to give you a walkthrough of a typical day here at Warrior Trading. A typical day for me begins around 7 to 7:30 a.m. We open the chat rooms at 7 a.m., which is the time that a lot of brokers come online. A lot of retail brokers don't even allow trading before 7 a.m. So before 7 a.m., the markets usually have very light volume, not a lot of volatility, not a lot of activity. So we begin at 7 a.m. That's when the chat rooms open. And when I come in, I will launch my broadcast, usually between 7 and 7:30. When my broadcast comes online, it pops out kind of like this, just a video right here in the chat platform. And from that point forward, you can listen to me while I'm giving you my pre-market commentary. You can hear me while I'm calling out what I like, what I don't like, as I'm breaking down my watch list, and you can watch my screen as I'm trading. This is a very important level of transparency that you don't have in Discord rooms and really most other places. So while I'm trading, I'll show you my screen share here. You'll actually see when I'm in a trade and when I'm trading, my position window in the top corner of the chat room at all times. So this will give you a summary of the positions that I'm in, how much I'm up, how much I'm down, whether I'm in it or whether I'm out. Now, at the end of each month, I upload my broker statements to the website so you can see my performance on a monthly basis. And each day I recap and I upload that usually on YouTube. So you can see a YouTube recap of each individual day. But this level of transparency is really important because I want you to know that, of course, these gains are real, that I'm trading live so you can actually watch, and that I actually am putting money where my mouth is, that I'm going to trade the strategy that I teach every single day. So I show up every single day, just like the mailman. Okay, so what I want to do for a few minutes is I want to walk you through the average day here at Warrior Trading. And in this mini class, I want to teach you, number one, how to minimize risk while trading. We know trading is risky, and I want to teach you some of the tips and tricks and strategies that I use to reduce my risk. Number two, I want to show you how I use this software to find stocks to day trade each day. So every single day when I'm actively trading, I'm using the same exact tools that you guys have access to. I don't have a special version of these tools. I don't have different tools I'm using. I am using the exact same tools. So I want to show you how I use these tools and how these have allowed me to make as much money as I've made. Now, tools are important, but ultimately you have to know how to use them. All right, so I'm going to walk you through how to use them. And number three, I'm going to show you where I buy and where I sell once I've found a great stock. All right, it's important to find strong stocks to trade, but ultimately you need to know where to buy and where to sell in order to capitalize on those opportunities. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in here. Now, I want to start by presenting you with my trading profits here to show you that I am credible, there's authenticity here, and I'm transparent. This is something that you won't see in a lot of places, which is why I spend so much time emphasizing it. When I started my small account challenge with $583.15 on January 1st, 2017, I set out really just to show that it's actually possible to trade with that small amount of money. I never expected that I would make $10 million, but it happened. And those gains have been audited, they're real, and I put them out here on our website where you guys can see. So what's important for you to know is that although these results are not typical, they are real. And my opinion, and maybe I'm biased, but my opinion is that if you want to learn how to trade, you ought to learn from someone who's made money trading the strategy that they're going to teach. This was the problem that I had when I was getting started. I was interested in learning how to trade. I was looking at different courses, but when I would look to see whether or not the people teaching those courses were actually making money trading, I couldn't tell because they didn't put their statements out there. And so I was left feeling kind of a little unsure about whether or not I could trust these different people. And I was probably right being skeptical because, as we found out, there's a lot of people out there who talk a big game, but they can't back it up. So I put this out here not because I want you to assume that these results are typical, but because I want you to know that these are real. And of course, at the end of the day, how much I make is more or less useless if I'm not able to actually provide value to you. And so these are some of our amazing testimonials that we have of members who have given us 5 stars. As you can see here, over 2,200 of these testimonials. And to highlight a few of these individual members who have done exceptionally well, they're featured on our website in various places. And I might talk about a few of them in this mini class today. I am so proud of these members. Now, they're the exception, not the norm. People who have made this much money trading, certainly Manoli, who's at 2.5 million. But I always love to highlight these success stories. Okay, so, and in case you were curious, Investopedia ranked my day trading course as the best comprehensive day trading course. I was really proud of that. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case you didn't already know that. My classes are available through Warrior Starter and Warrior Pro memberships. Okay, so this right here exemplifies the power of day trading. This was an individual day where, as you can see, I walked away with $50,000 in trading profits in one day. And now let me kind of tie this together at the very beginning of this little class to the scanners. Here are the scanners right here. I found the stock on the scanner right here. It's up 80%. It had news, and I was able to capitalize on the opportunity. So I'm going to walk you through the whole process of how I was able to take a trade like this, from how I was able to manage my risk, how much risk I was taking, how I found the stock, and where I'm buying and where I'm selling. My job is to help empower you so you can learn these skills yourself. All right, so we're going to start number one with managing risk, understanding statistics and profitability. All right, so success in trading, well, does come down to a certain extent to statistics. You either have the metrics of profitability or you do not. So what do the metrics of a profitable trader look like? And what is the metrics that we want to aim for? What I look for whenever I'm thinking about taking a trade is my risk versus my reward, my risk to reward ratio. So the conventional wisdom is that you should never risk more than you stand to make. There are some people who will in fact risk more than they stand to make, and they can still do really well, but their accuracy has to be very, very high. So what I always encourage is for traders to focus on a risk to reward ratio where you're risking $1 to make $2 based on ratio. You could risk 10 to make 20, you could risk 100 to make 200, or 1,000 to make 2,000, or 10,000 to make 20,000. It doesn't really matter, but it's a 2-to-1 ratio. With the 2-to-1 ratio, you actually only need to be right 33% of the time in order to break even. And thus, you have set the bar much lower to be successful. Now, if you inverted that and you risk $2 to make only $1, you'd actually have to be right 67% of the time to break even. And I think that that's an unreasonable expectation for most beginner traders. Even experienced traders don't often trade at 67% success. I recently did a challenge with one of my Warrior Pro graduates. We did a head-to-head 10-day face-off, and his accuracy was only about 48%. He still made money because his profit-loss ratio was good, but the accuracy was low for him. So I would encourage traders to focus most importantly on having a strong profit-loss ratio. All right, profit-loss ratio is very important. So that comes in two aspects. Number one, you're thinking on a trade-by-trade basis. Every trade you're looking at, you're thinking about, okay, I need to be thinking about 2-to-1. I risk 100 to make 200, so on and so forth. But it's also when you total out all of your trades. So when you look at all of the trades you've ever taken, look at your average winners and look at your average losers. And that will tell us your profit loss ratio in averages in totality. And ultimately, if you've taken 1,000 trades or something like that, and you have a negative profit loss ratio, this speaks to the fact that there's something in your trading that we need to work on. I am a huge proponent of using metrics to help you analyze your performance. So you'll hear me talk about this a lot. Certainly if you become a student here at Warrior Trading, I want to encourage you to look at that data and to mine that data, because for me, that was where I found discoveries that ended up being the turning point in my career. Okay, so when it comes to looking at your trades as a whole, I look at 3 core components. I look at your accuracy. Well, we'll start at the top. I look at your consistency. I look at your accuracy, and I look at your profit loss ratio. And this is when we're talking about all of the trades you've ever taken. So profit loss ratio, you already understand. Accuracy, you already understand. If you've taken 1,000 trades and 700 were winners and 300 were losers, you have 70% accuracy. That's your success rate, your win rate. And then consistency. Consistency is the number of weeks that you are green. So if you are a perhaps beginner trader and you've only been green 1 or 2 weeks out of the last 6, I would say your consistency is relatively poor. We need to work on improving that. If you've been trading for a while, like I have, and your consistency is maybe green 5 out of 6 weeks, that's pretty solid. Yeah, we have a red week every now and then, that's fine, but you want to be green more often than you're red. Now, what's important to understand here is that when I'm helping a trader improve their metrics, usually what I encourage them to focus on, if their trading is not going very well, they're either losing money or they're just kind of sideways, is number one, we focus on that profit loss ratio. But this might sound counterintuitive. What we do first is we focus on highest quality setups to boost your accuracy, and that means trading less. What almost invariably happens when you trade less is you trade higher quality setups, and you don't have as many of those big losses that are drawing down your profit loss ratio. So this is what it looks like. We focus, number one, on accuracy. I'll just do a percentage sign. We focus on accuracy. That in turn improves your profit loss ratio. And when your profit loss ratio in turns with high accuracy, what follows is consistency. All right, so you have higher consistency. And then that just feeds ultimately a higher degree of confidence, self-confidence, and the ability to scale up your strategy. This becomes a positive feedback loop. But as you may know, there is also such a thing as a negative feedback loop where you begin spiraling down. You have poor accuracy. That fuels less confidence, emotionally impulsive trading behaviors. That creates more losses, an even worse profit loss ratio. Consistency is getting even worse, and it becomes a negative spiral. So for traders that are in that negative loop, of course, the first thing is stopping it right then and there by discontinuing trading with real money until you can press the reset button, step back and look at your metrics, make a list of the things that you're doing right now that are not working. And I have a whole troubleshooting guide as part of this, as part of my Warrior Pro curriculum, that goes through the different things that most traders will find as mistakes in their trading, and then the solution to rectify that mistake to get you back course corrected to making progress. Okay, so what I have found when I'm thinking about the journey of most beginner traders, I have found that this is what the equity curve looks like. And this was true for me. A little bit of beginner's luck, followed by reality setting in, a little overconfidence, and then you go net negative. You're red on your endeavor. In fact, I haven't known many traders at all who weren't at some point net negative over, from their starting point of how much money they put in. But then something important has to happen. You stop stair-stepping down and you begin instead going sideways. Now, this can be misconstrued as being a period of no progress. But in fact, I would say that treading water and keeping your head above water and not experiencing significant drawdown is progress. And out of that progress, usually what happens is traders then begin to see incremental improvement, and they see this nice gradual stair stepping up. I actually saw a member earlier today who posted an equity curve that looked very similar. The only difference was he didn't have any beginner's luck. So he just went basically net negative and is now curling back up. And it's really, really nice to see. Now, for some traders, this can take years, as it did for me. For traders that are more focused on their learning path, it can certainly happen a lot faster. So for those who are curious about how I got here, I spent years of struggling before I turned the corner. I now have over 20,000 trades that are really my historical data, my back-tested data, that provide the proof that the strategy that I trade works, and it works really, really well. But success did not come overnight for me. When I was growing up, this is actually a picture of me in the middle with my father and my mother. This is probably the last good picture that I have of the three of us. My father was diagnosed with cancer when I was a sophomore in college, and he passed away. It was already terminal. And while he was sick, I was working at home at a gas station in Vermont, pumping gas, and I was earning minimum wage, and I really was struggling in my 20s at that point, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. But I had a friend in high school, and his name is Ben, and this is a picture of Ben right here. This is Ben. He made $16,000